The Name of the Game is presented by Bravo, the marketing arm of Ash Brokerage Corporation, the practice enhancement company. Welcome to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. Hi everyone, I'm your host, Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money gamer extraordinaire. Americans are living stronger and living longer in retirement, so they need their money to last just as long as they do. Now's the time to match your life expectancy with income you can't outlive. And on today's show, we're featuring concepts and strategies that will maximize unused assets, save you money on taxes, and generate lifetime income you can't outlive. And here to talk about money that you can't outlive, nationally recognized consultant and advisor, author of Paychecks and Playchecks, Tom Hagman. In the G segment, it's game on as we address the impact of living longer in retirement. In the A segment, we'll outline the benefits of immediate and indexed annuity income. In the M segment, our money mentor Tom Hagman will talk about the impact of low interest rates. And in the E segment, we'll give you 5 retirement solutions to help you maximize your money. Welcome to the show, Tommy.
Thanks, Steve.
I appreciate you coming on a consumer show. Tom teaches the professional market day in and day out, and he has a real popular book on Amazon.com called Paychecks and Playchecks, and it's available. And if you want to read it, it is a great read. And what I like about it, Tommy, is it is easy to understand. I actually got it on the first pass.
It's really the math and science of how to retire the right way. Right now, if you ask 50 different financial advisors how you should retire, you're going to likely get 50 different opinions, but there are not 50 optimal ways to retire. There's really one optimal way, and I try to lay that out in the book.
Now, of course, your big theory is there is a huge risk that no consumer is really paying attention to. We think about risk in our portfolio, the market risk.
Right.
We think about our expenses. Will our inflation go up? Will I have to pay more in retirement? But one risk that we're not attending to, and it sounds like this is the number one risk in your mind, is this thing called longevity. What do you mean by that?
Longevity risk. Well, Steve, let me show you. If I had to pull up, here are the risks that people normally talk about in retirement. You know, there's the risk that the market can go down, that you might withdraw too much money, this thing called the order of returns or sequence of returns. There's a risk of long-term care. You might die. There's inflation. But there's only one number one risk, and the number one risk in retirement is longevity risk. And here's why. Because longevity is not just a risk. It's a risk multiplier of all those other risks. See, the longer you live, the more likely the market will crash. The longer you live, the more likely we'll see inflation. The longer you live, the more likely you'll need long-term care. And so what all the math and science, all the research that I looked in that book says is you must take longevity risk off the table. In fact, I would say, I tell people in my meetings, if you only get one thing out of my meeting, get that. When you're going into retirement, you must take longevity risk off the table. Now, stocks can't do that. Bonds can't do that. CDs can't do that. There are only a few products that can do it.
Now, when we talk about that, I mean, I hear, wow, we're living longer. Of course, we talk about the Guinness Book of World Records. We talk about Willard Scott saying happy birthday to centurions. This longevity risk is so huge, and you say it has this correlated effect on everything else.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing you say.
It's a multiplier, and so you've got to take it off the table. Now, a lifetime income annuity can do it. A deferred lifetime income annuity, some people call it a DIA, that can do it. Or an income or withdrawal benefit rider from a fixed or variable or indexed annuity. So what I'm saying is all those products have in one word in common, and that's the word annuity. What all the retirement research that I've seen shows is you must have an annuity in your portfolio. Why? Because only annuity can take longevity risk off the table. Why? Because only a life insurance company can issue an annuity. Why? Because only a life insurance company sells life insurance to be on the other side of that risk. See, when a life insurance company sells a life insurance policy, the risk is that somebody dies too soon. When they sell a lifetime income annuity, the risk is that somebody lives too long. Because they're on both sides of that risk, they can neutralize longevity and mortality risk to themselves and to the consumer.
I think it's very hot right now. A lot of people are into income that you can't outlive. This is our mainstay of our whole show. People like the thought, it doesn't matter if I live forever or whatever. I'm getting that monthly payment, and that's what I want. But what if I have this queasiness about, hey, you know, what happens though if I died early and all that money went away? What could I do to protect against that?
You don't have to have the money disappear. See, like only 8% of lifetime income annuities are the ones that are called life only, where the money disappears when you die. 92% of all people want guarantees. They want joint life. They want joint life with cash refund. They want joint life with 20 years certain. See, you can decide. I always ask people, what do you want your money to do while you're alive, and what do you want it to do when you die? And if you can tell me what you want it to do while you're alive and what you want it to do when you die, we can set up the exact plan that would work the best for you.
If I have already identified that, and I love this phrase, now let's make sure our consumers know it, cash refund. What does that mean? Because that sounds like a kind of a backstop.
Yeah, well, cash refund is probably the simplest to understand of any lifetime income annuities. Let's say a person puts in $100,000 and it's guaranteeing them $1,000 a month. They get that for the rest of their life, even if they live, 20, 30, 40 years. It's guaranteed for the rest of their life. But if they die early, let's say they died and the insurance company's only paid $20,000. Well, the cash refund says that the insurance company owes the other $80,000 of the original 100 to somebody, to their spouse or their kids or their charity or whoever. So it protects that their money doesn't disappear when they die.
Well, I like that option because I think a lot of people have been told, and I think erroneously so, that if I do go ahead and execute a lifetime income and I die the next day, I've lost all my money. That is
not true. Less than 8% of the annuities have that. But let me go there, because in the book I say the more I study lifetime income annuities, the more I favor the life only, because people think that they're all going to die tomorrow. Well, they're not all going to die tomorrow. In fact, most of them are going to live a lot longer than what they think. Most people who buy a lifetime income annuity would have been better off buying the life only because it pays a higher payout rate. It's got mortality credits, and it pays these mortality credits. And so if you buy a lifetime income annuity, life only, and you die, the insurance company does not keep your money. It goes to the other people who pick life only and live. That's how they can pay 9% and 10% and 13%, and that's how they can have for those high guaranteed payouts.
So if I'm interested in this and I want to look at the numbers, I should look at lifetime income. I cannot live, but I also want to look at what's my guarantees.
Absolutely.
Cash refund, and those two are easily it's easy to read and easy to understand.
Yes, and the fewer guarantees you put on, the higher your payment. The more guarantees you put, the lower your payout. So it's a trade-off between, do you want higher payouts and higher payouts with less guarantees, or do you want lower payouts with more guarantees? And it's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong answer.
So you can customize this for your own personal income.
And you can buy one that has one, and you can buy one that has another.
I love the idea that I heard you speak about before on the joint income. That to me is also another thing that I want to make sure before we go to the next segment.
Yes, especially if you have couples.
Right, that's great. If you want more information on lifetime income you cannot live, just email me, steve.savant@ashbrokerage.com. And if you include your age and gender, we'll run a free quote that'll illustrate income on your life, income you cannot live. It'll only take a few minutes. Is lifetime income you cannot live worth a few minutes? I'm sure it is. When we come back from the break, Tom and I are going to walk you through the benefits of immediate and indexed annuity income in the A segment of our show.
Take a close look at your hard-earned dollar. How do you think your money's doing? Are you keeping an eye on it? Is it protected from taxes, inflation, and market risk? Over time, those Washingtons could become Franklins. With tax-advantaged indexed universal life, from one of the largest distributors of indexed universal life, Ash Brokerage.
Welcome back to The Name of the Game. I'm Steve Savant with author Tom Hagna. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor and legal counsel. Coming up in the A segment, Tom and I are going to walk you through the benefits of immediate and indexed annuity income. Well, Tommy, I'm looking at the whole idea of risk and retirement. And, you've been talking about this longevity risk in your book. Yours is on Amazon.com. If you haven't seen this as a consumer, just go hop out to the site. What I like about Tom's book is not only does he explain retirement, not only does he explain optimal ideas with your risk longevity, because there's a lot of risk here in human longevity, we're going to be living longer. But what I like about it is it's in English. I thought I was going to read something, Tommy's very smart, he teaches advisors. I thought he was going to be very, very heady. But this is really a good version for us to get our head around some of this. So if you say, Steve, I'd love that book, hey, just hop out to Amazon.com. You can order it right off for yourself. Tommy, when I saw this book, this is an excellent idea about explaining retirement risk. We talked about the 4 risks in the first segment. When you're talking about retirement risk, I want to take that off the table. I want consumers not to worry about this any longer. I want to be able to lock down. How can I lock down and protect myself in case I do the really cool thing and live to 100?
Yeah. So here's the deal. The more I study retirement, the simpler and simpler and simpler it gets. See, everybody thinks retirement is very complicated. I found it really isn't. The success of your retirement is really going to depend on your answers to 2 simple questions. And it's not going to be what's your 401k or how's the stock market doing or what's Obama or Bernanke doing. I say that's all noise. The success of your retirement depends on 2 simple things. Number 1, how much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? And number 2, have you taken the key risks off the table? Risks like market risk, risks like longevity risk, risks like inflation, and risks like long-term care. It's really not about assets, Steve. See, assets can be lost, they can be stolen, they can be sued, they can be divorced, they can be swindled, they can be lost and decimated in a stock market crash. It's really about income, guaranteed lifetime income, and managing those risks.
Now, when I look at guaranteed income, I mean, you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that this is guaranteed for, well, if we use life option, this is guaranteed for life, so it doesn't really matter how long the client lives.
Right, it's a guaranteed paycheck for life. Now, you remember, we talked about risks earlier, and if I were to bring up that slide again, so here are the risks. If I were to give somebody 4 simple steps on how to retire the right way, here'd be the 4 simple steps. Number 1, cover your basic expenses with guaranteed lifetime income. But here's why. Because you take all 5 of these risks off the table. You take longevity risk off the table because it's a guaranteed paycheck for life. You take deflation risk off the table because if you're getting a paycheck and things actually go down in a deflation or depressionary environment, it's one of the best things to own. There's no market risk, no withdrawal rate risk, or no order of return risk. So simply by covering basic expenses with guaranteed lifetime income, you take 5 key risks off the table. Then if you optimize the rest of your portfolio to protect yourself against inflation, whoops, you protect yourself against inflation by optimizing the portfolio. Step number 3, you want to have a plan for long-term care. And step number 4, the most efficient way to pass your wealth is with permanent life insurance. Instead of leaving $200,000 for your kids, where you're leaving $200,000 to leave $200,000, you could take $30,000 or $40,000 of that, buy a life insurance policy that goes tax-free to the kids, and then you can spend the rest of your money. So those are the 4 simple steps of a successful retirement. Step 1, cover your basic expense with guaranteed income. Step 2, optimize the rest of the portfolio to protect against inflation. Step 3, have a plan for long-term care. And step 4, use permanent life insurance as the most efficient way to pass wealth to your family.
Now, if I want to, let's say, I think, we have a lot of retirees watching. Okay, I have my fixed income. I know what my bills are. So I need to find a contract, a policy that will cover and give me guaranteed income to cover those guaranteed. I mean, I have to pay these bills.
Right.
I can't get around it.
Well, remember, Social Security counts. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life. It's actually a lifetime income annuity. If you have a pension, that counts. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life. It's a lifetime income annuity. But whatever you're short on covering those basic expenses, you really need to go to an insurance company and buy some form of lifetime income annuity. An annuity is the only product you can buy that will take that number 1 risk that we talked about earlier, longevity risk, off the table. And so that's where the annuity fits, is to help cover those basic expenses.
I love how you made this suggestion, because a lot of times we're thinking, I want to be able to take care, I want to have my kids be blessed when I die, and therefore I retract and crawl into a little kind of a hole, and I don't want to spend.
Yeah.
And you're saying, oh no, we can do this, we can take care of both of us, let you spend, let you enjoy your retirement.
I see too many people living a just-in-case retirement, and they don't enjoy their wealth, and they don't touch their money. They don't touch money. Why? Just in case. And I used to tell my clients, no, you told me you were going to join the country club. You're going to buy a boat. You're going to go on a cruise. You're going to see the world. Have you done that? Most of them say, no, we haven't done that. Why? Because just in case, and they're trying to save money for their kids. And so what happens? They don't touch their money. 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 Then they die. What happens to money? Goes to the kids. What do the kids do with it? They join the country club. They buy a boat. They go on a cruise. They see the world. My whole book, Paychecks and Playchecks, is about enjoying your retirement and getting the most for the least to enjoy your retirement.
So when we strategize, I mean, a lot of advisors are good. They go to your seminars and your sessions to learn how to optimize retirement, how to make it more efficient, and to cover all these things that we're addressing. I mean, there's a lot to cover. I also noticed, you had long-term care up here, which, people say, oh, I'm not going to need it, Tommy. I'm not going to use it. But honestly, the stats are completely opposite.
72 out of 100 is the chances you're going to need it. Look, no retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. I can't say it any more directly than that. No retirement plan is complete. The odds of your house burning down are less than 3 out of 100. You have a homeowner's policy. The odds of your car getting totaled are 18 out of 100. You have automobile insurance. But the odds of you needing long-term care are 72 out of 100.
Well, what I'm thinking, when we recorded back in November, it was Long-Term Care Month, Awareness Month. And I could not believe the traffic we got from consumers saying, Steve, I didn't realize the statistics were so high. So what we want to do is start to look at that. And if I have a premium that I'm locking down in, I could use some of these guaranteed income forms, like from annuities, to cover those premium payments.
Absolutely.
If you want more information on lifetime income you can't outlive, just email me, steve.savant@ashbrokerage.com. And if you include your age and gender, we'll run you a free quote that'll illustrate income on your life. Income you can't outlive. It'll only take a few minutes. Is lifetime income worth a few minutes? I'm sure it is. When we come back from the break, Tom and I are going to address the low interest rate environment and its impact on income in the M segment of our show.
Take a close look at your hard-earned dollar. How do you think your money's doing? Are you keeping an eye on it? Is it protected from taxes, inflation, and market risk? Over time, those Washingtons could become Franklins. With tax-advantaged indexed universal life from one of the largest distributors of indexed universal life, Ash Brokerage.
Welcome back to The Name of the Game. I'm Steve Savant with author Tom Hagna. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas on the show, always consult your tax advisor and your legal counsel. Coming up in the M segment, Tom and I are going to address the low interest rate environment and its impact on income. Again, I'm with Tom Hagna. Tom's book, Paychecks and Playchecks. This is an excellent book. If you say, Steve, I'd really like to read it. I enjoy Tom. He's speaking. Just hop out to Amazon.com and you can pick it up for yourself. It's really a great read. Easy read, by the way. Thank you for that, Tom. Yeah. Because usually when I read these, they read like an anthology. You know, all these technical retirement models. This is very easy to understand. I want to talk about one thing that maybe not so easy to understand, but I know you can break it down for us. This whole thing about mortality credits. People really don't, consumers especially, they don't understand that. What's the mechanics behind this? Why is the insurance company able to lock down, in my opinion, such high numbers?
Yeah, it's something only the life insurance industry can do. Maybe the easiest way to explain mortality credits is to tell you a little story. Okay. When people say, what are mortality credits? I say, well, let me tell you a little story. Let's say there were 5 90-year-old ladies that went on vacation every year. And one year, one of the ladies said, hey, let's each put $100 in this box. We'll tape up the box, and next year when we go on vacation, we'll bring the box with us, and those of us who are still alive, we'll open the box and we'll split the money. They said, Helen, that's a great idea. So you got 5 90-year-old ladies, they each put $100 in the box, it's $500, they taped up the box. The next year, one of the ladies died. So now they go on vacation, 4 ladies open the box, they split the $500. They each get $125. Now that was a 25% rate of return in 12 months. I have 2 questions to ask. How much of that money was invested in the stock market? 0. What interest rate did it earn on that taped up industrial box? 0. How did they get paid 25% with no money in the market, no interest rate? It's because they got paid mortality credits. So a lady looks at this, she looks at her brokerage account, she said, hey, this is a pretty good deal. I think we're going to put it back in the box, tape it back up, and do it again. So they decided to let it ride. The next year, one more lady died. Now 3 ladies open up the box, they split the $500, they each get $167. That's a 67% return in 2 years, no money in the market, no interest rate. Why? Because they got paid mortality credits. Now some people say, Steve, yeah, but I don't want my money to disappear when I die. I got kids, I got grandkids. Hey, do you have to have your money disappear when you die? No. Less than 8% of all lifetime income annuities are life only, where the money disappears. 92% of all people want a guarantee. They want joint life with 20 or 30 years certain.
What do you mean by joint life?
Well, you can have an annuity that pays for as long as the husband or the wife is alive. You can even do joint life with you and a child, or you and a grandchild.
So 2 on one contract?
Yes, on one contract. And see, so every check that you get from one of these annuities is composed of 3 parts. Principal, that's the orange box. Interest, that's the gray box. Anybody can give you principal and interest, but only a life insurance company can manufacture mortality credits. And it's the mortality credits that are literally the secret sauce behind a lifetime income annuity. And I get into the book Paychecks and Playchecks that the math and science, and I mean all the research surrounding retirement says you cannot retire properly without having some mortality credits in your portfolio, because only some form of lifetime income annuity can take that #1 risk in retirement, longevity risk, off the table. Stocks can't do it, bonds can't do it.
So if I'm returning, because everybody always asks me, says, Steve, I'm looking at the interest, it doesn't seem to be that much, but these mortality credits are making up for all this.
Yes.
But I want to ask you about this. If your principal's coming back to you in payments, does that mean that that's coming back to you free?
Yes, tax-free. And so what you'll see is if you have an advisor run a lifetime income annuity illustration, you'll see that maybe if you're getting $1,000 a month, only around $300 of it is taxable. The other $700 is tax-free, so it's very tax-advantaged income. So it can really help a retiree who just can't get by on a CD that's paying 0.5% or something. You're not going to be able to get adequate income from that. But a lifetime income annuity can give you adequate income.
Now, you gave a choice to the client, if I just heard you. There could be lifetime income. There also could be guaranteed income, so that if you died early, somebody's going to get this chunk of money.
Yes, you can do life with cash refund, life with 20 years certain, life with 30 years certain, so that somebody's going to.
Life with cash refund, because that's the consumer question I always get, which is, Steve, Is there any way to protect this so if something happens, I get my money or my beneficiaries get this money?
So very simply, Life with Cash Refund's the simplest. Somebody puts in $100,000, it guarantees them a paycheck for the rest of their life no matter how long they live, even if the company had to pay $200,000 or $300,000. But if they were to die early, and let's say they were paid $30,000 and they died, somebody's going to get that other $70,000, their spouse or their kids or whoever they name as a beneficiary, to make sure that none of their $100,000 did not go to somebody.
So they have a little bit of angst on this, and they would think, hey, maybe what happens if I were to die early? This can be a protection item.
Absolutely. The guarantees in the contract can guarantee that money will go somewhere.
Now, I want to kind of introduce the next thing we're talking about up front now before we get to it. Everybody is saying, I'm going to be living longer. When our first segment we talked about mortality risk, longevity risk, we know it's there, okay.
Right.
So everybody's okay with that. And I'm thinking long-term contracts for life, income I can't outlive. That becomes the new mantra right now for retirement income. When you see this out there, there's several different annuity contracts that are out there that do this. I'm kind of curious, in your professional opinion, is there any one that seems to stand out better when it comes to giving mortality credits on a lifetime income you cannot live?
Well, certainly a lifetime income annuity, which in the industry is known as a single premium immediate annuity, that would pay high credits, or a deferred income annuity, a DIA. Those are the two that would pay probably the highest mortality credits, but any type of an annuity that has an income or withdrawal benefit guarantee would have mortality credits built into the contract.
Is it better to have a withdrawal income or a annuitization income? There's a lot of debate out there.
Yeah, I would say you'd want to work with a professional advisor who could show you your options so that you could pick which is best for your particular situation.
If you want more information on lifetime income you can't outlive, just email me, steve.savant@ashbrokerage.com. And if you include your age and gender, we'll run a free quote that'll illustrate income on your life. Income you can't outlive. It'll only take a few minutes. Is lifetime income worth a few minutes? I'm sure it is. When we come back from the break, Tom and I are going to discuss some retirement solutions in the E segment of our show.
Take a close look at your hard-earned dollar. How do you think your money's doing? Are you keeping an eye on it? Is it protected from taxes, inflation, and market risk? Over time, those Washingtons could become Franklins. With tax-advantaged indexed universal life, from one of the largest distributors of indexed universal life, Ash Brokerage.
Well, welcome back to The Name of the Game. I'm Steve Savant with author Tom Hegna. And just a heads up, before moving forward with any of the ideas on the show, always consult your tax advisor and your legal counsel. Coming up in the E segment, Tom and I are going to talk about some of the retirement solutions in the E segment of our show. Now, Jean Clement, this is this French gal that lived to 121 years, I think 164 days. I mean, I can't even conceive that, Tommy. I mean, honestly, it seems so long. But every day, when I used to watch the Today Show, you could see Willard Scott on television saying happy birthday to somebody turning age 100.
Right.
And it seems like if he took the time to say happy birthday to everybody that turned 100, he'd need 90 minutes a day, 7 days a week just to get that job done. So people are turning 100. It's happening. It's not fantasy, it's reality. Right. Talk about why is income that you can't outlive, based that we're in the shadow of the greatest mortality revolution we've ever experienced in mankind.
Yeah.
Talk about that product.
Well, I mean, think about it. Longevity risk, as we've been talking all day, is the number one risk in retirement. And why? Because people are living longer. 50% of all the couples that are watching this show are going to have somebody live to be 92.
Out of the couple?
Out of the couples.
Wow.
25% of the couples watching this show are going to have somebody that lives to age 97. Think about that. So that's not like, oh, it's fantasy land. That's like on your block. You're going to have several people who live, to be 100 or at least in their late 90s. And so the key is, how are you going to have income that lasts that long? See, and you all know people, once they get in their 80s, and I'm dealing with this with my own parents, people start getting confused. They start forgetting. They can make terrible mistakes in their 80s with their money, not because they were planning on making those mistakes, but because they get where they're confused or they get dementia. And so having guaranteed paychecks for life can protect you from so many risks. It can protect you from being swindled or that money taken from friends or relatives. It's guaranteed paychecks for life that you'll never outlive. And as I said earlier, your retirement is not about your assets. Your retirement is all about your guaranteed lifetime income, and have you taken these key risks off the table?
Do you think that insurance companies are now considering, Yes, my clients, a lot of these clients, they're not doing any medical, they're not doing any medical workups on these people. Are they thinking that we're going to be living to 85, 90? Are they looking at your number, which you say, forget that, we're talking about age 100?
Yeah. Well, I know insurance companies are. My second book came out recently, and I started out my second book saying I was going to New York City, and there's a billboard right before you go, either when you go right into the Holland Tunnel or when you're coming out, and it says the first person to live to 140 is alive today. And that was shocking to me.
I'm sorry, but that shocks me just the way you said it. I mean, you think about that, 140. Somebody's going to be living 140. I'm thinking that is going to be, we're going to see people break the Guinness Book of World Records here. I mean, it's 121 years and 164 days. This is going to be broken.
Yeah.
And in our Western culture, people are going to be living longer. I mean, think about this. The baby boomers are now retiring, 10,000 a day. And I've noticed that females, I went to a nursing home in our area here in Arizona, and I noticed it was 9-to-1 females to male. I mean, these gals are living into their late 80s and 90s, and they look pretty good. I mean, they're functional. They're having a good time at the nursing home. They seem to be very socially adjusted.
Yeah. And so, I mean, when I wrote this book, this book is really not my opinion. This is the math and science. So what I did is I did the research. What does Dr. David Babel of Wharton find? What did Moshe Milevsky of Toronto find? What did Menachem Yari of Israel find? And what you find is that all of the research, and I mean all the research, says that, the number one key to success in retirement is you've got to take that longevity risk off the table. And stocks can't do it, bonds can't do it, CDs can't do it, real estate can't do it. Only some form of guaranteed lifetime income that you typically buy from an insurance company can do it. Now, Social Security can do it. That's a guaranteed paycheck for life, but that's a lifetime income annuity. A pension can do it, but that's a guaranteed paycheck for life. That's a lifetime income annuity. But if you don't have those, or if you don't have enough of that, you've got to go to a life insurance company to buy that guaranteed lifetime income. Only an insurance company can do it because they're on both sides of that risk.
Tommy, let's say I'm there. There are several different options here, and sometimes consumers say, gee, I don't know which one to go. Single premium immediate annuity, deferred interest rate annuity, indexed annuity, and I don't know if I want to be in the risk area, but variable annuity.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, they all have, and I do talk about them in the book, so I kind of lay out what their pros and cons are. The key is I think you got to work with a financial advisor who really knows their stuff, and if you're with a financial advisor who really knows what they're doing, they can help guide you through this. In general, the older you are, the more you're going to lean towards that immediate annuity, the income annuity. The younger you are, the more you're going to lean to one of those growth type annuities that you can then annuitize in the future. But I would say, do some research on that. My book's a great place, or talk to your financial advisor.
Okay, so the combination I'm hearing, especially on lifetime income, I can't outlive, there's going to be some tax advantages. There's going to be some mortality credits. Both of those areas may not be in any other place that your portfolio has. And I like the thing you suggested in the third segment. You said, oh, that could be on your life. Oh, it could be on a joint life. Two people on one contract. Yes. And I loved your example. You were talking about the 70-year-old, when we were off camera. You said this 70-year-old had two children. Talk that. I love that story. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can do it with a widow who's got a couple children. She can't live on a CD that's paying 0.5. She can do joint life with each of her children, and she gets 2 checks for the rest of her life that's going to pay her far more than what the CD was going to pay. And then when she dies, each of her children get a check. You can even do grandparents' grandchildren, where a grandpa has a beautiful 5-year-old granddaughter, and he does a joint life and sets it on her birthday every year. So every time she has a birthday, he gets a check, and then when he dies, that granddaughter gets that birthday present from her favorite grandpa every birthday for the rest of her life. She will never forget that favorite grandpa.
I think that's a huge deal because it takes care of my need for an income as being grandfather, but it also blesses my children, and they'll never forget the person who wrote that check for them. Well, that's our show for today. I want to thank Tom Hagner for being my special guest at today's Money Mentor. And remember, you can follow me out on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or just email me, steve.savant@ashbrokers.com. And don't forget what the good Reverend John Wesley once said, make all you can, save all you can, give all you can. I'm Steve Savant. See you next week.